Okay, I'm off and running again. Okay, not really. I just finished my workout. Just a little over 2 miles. My back is hurting me, but it's since I fell, my back has been bothering me quite a bit. I have bruises on the side of my leg and on my knee where I fell, and my other leg where I hit. So I could only do so much. And then I thought I would hop on and just maybe tell you a little bit more about me. So maybe you can understand some of the reasons I say some of the stuff I say. So growing up, I grew up on the east side of St. Paul, right by Sacred Heart Church, which I haven't been to in quite a while. When I was in high school, I did one semester at Harding, and then we moved to North St. Paul, and I went to North St. Paul High School and graduated from North St. Paul High School. I did go to nursing assistant school right after high school, and got a job working at a nursing home after my dad died. Before my dad died, I worked over at I think it was Lynn Bloomston. At the time, it was over in Midway. I don't know if it's still there. And then I went and I worked, after my dad died, my mom moved to Maplewood into an apartment complex because she couldn't afford to stay in the house. So my dad was my best friend. My dad grew up on an Indian reservation up north at White Earth, and when he was 17, he moved to the city and got a job working at a soda fountain down on Seven Corners. He met my mom, but it was just about the time that World War II started, and so he was shipped off to France, and from there he went to I don't know even where. He came home after he'd been there for 18 months or 2 years, something like that. And then him and my mom got married in 1946 in December. They had 5 children before me. I have a brother and 2 sisters that were born before me that were actually born alive and died within 9 months of birth. So my brother lived 24 hours, my one sister lived 3 months, and one lived 8 months. And so when I came along back in 1961, I was a premature baby. I was supposed to be born in November. I was born in October. So I did weigh 4 pounds at the time. So that was good news, because it wasn't back in 1961, because they basically told my parents not to attach themselves because I probably would not live. So my mom didn't. Hence the reason why when I say my mom and I never really got along, we never really got along because we never bonded, ever. My dad came to the hospital after work every day to visit and held me, fed me. So I basically was a daddy's girl, true and through, because my dad, even after when I got older, and I went through a lot because I was in the hospital for 2 months after I was born, and then about 6 months after I got out, I was climbing out of, just so you know, I was climbing out of a playpen, and so they thought putting socks on my feet and shoes on my feet, I'd stay in. Nope. I figured out how to take my shoes and socks off and was climbing out of the playpen. And back then the playpens had those little tiny, well, they were toe size. So I got my big toe in and climbed out of the playpen. But about the same time they took me in because I was having some problems with being sick all the time. And not like vomiting sick, just sick. So they took me in, and the doctor sent me to the pediatrician sent me to an allergist. And back then they decided, after doing a skin test, and if you've ever had one of those, you itch afterwards until you can get in a bath or a shower. And they discovered I was allergic to, approximately 101 different things at the time. So, needless to say, they were very watchful about what they fed me, clothes I wore. Everything had to be cotton, nothing that would itch my skin, no wool. I wasn't allergic to wool, but they were afraid it would make my skin itch, just because back then, if you know, wool is very soft now because the way they treat it before you wear it. But back then, wool was very itchy and scratchy. So it was, yeah. So my dad and I bonded quite a bit. We lived, at that time, we were living in the Highland Park area, off Pleasant Street. And partly because it was closer to my clinic, because I ended up having to go in and get shots a couple times a week. So I'm going to end here, and I will catch you with part 2 later on.